Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I am Mark McAllister. For those that haven't met me, I am the Senior Partner for Holborn, based predominantly in Cape Town, but you might have met me before previously on my travels around Africa, and always keen to meet new clients. Here's my contact details. If you ever feel the need, feel free to reach out to myself and my team, and we'll do everything that we can to answer any of the questions that come up from today's focus on global mobility and what's called citizenship by investment. If you want to WhatsApp us, feel free to do so. You can scan this QR code that's in front of you now, and we will do our very best to answer any questions that you have along the way. If you're on Zoom and that's where you're watching this, then please feel free at the center of the screen, click on the Q&A button, and it will allow us to answer your questions along the way, and we'll answer all of those together if we can at the end. So let me tell you a little bit more about Holborn and who we are and what we do. So I'm here representing two of our global businesses. So firstly, I'm predominantly a wealth manager and working for Holborn Assets. We've been around since 1998. We're a British family firm. We've got over 500 employees across 23 international offices, over 20,000 clients, and well in excess of $2 billion of assets under management. So when you hear us talking about citizenship by investment, we are approaching it first and foremost from an investment case perspective. So you're dealing with qualified wealth managers that also are able to help you with citizenship by investment. That's a key point, particularly for those of you joining from Nigeria. I know there's a lot of Nigerian clients here today. And what I would say is that you need to bear in mind that we're up against or competing with a lot of specialists, as they would say, that really only want to sell you a passport. They don't really focus on the investment case as much as we do. So if in doubt, speak to a business like ourselves that have that experience. Our other business that I'm representing today is our citizenship and residency business known as Holborn Pass. So we are focusing on investments with global mobility benefits. Predominantly, that normally is some form of investment being the priority, with things like property and various other things around the world. We've had over 1,000 clients that we've helped and 100% success rate. So what I want you to know is that you're in very safe, very experienced, good hands if you choose to partner with us on this journey. So what is citizenship by investment? I'm sure these are the questions that you're asking yourself, trying to understand what it is that this whole thing is. So citizenship by investment is the ability to become a citizen or potentially a resident of another country, leading to citizenship through some form of transaction. And it's done in a number of different ways around the world, and you can see the options here. So often real estate, donation, businesses, funds, bonds, that sort of thing. It's a very rapidly growing industry. So in 2011, it was only about 2.9 billion, and now in 2022, most recently, it's exceeded 30 billion. Key thing is that there's really two routes, regardless where you go around the world, that you need to be aware of. And the first one is residency by investment. Okay, so this is getting permission to stay in a country with a residency permit where you can live and work freely. More often than not, that will then allow you to apply for a passport at some point in the future when conditions are met. The second route is citizenship by investment. So this is where you will invest a contribution and become a citizen of that country with full rights associated with being a citizen, but normally in quite a short time frame. So if we look at our global offering, so this is a grid that we often discuss with clients about all of the various different countries around the world. First things first, as you can see, they are split between two headline topics, and that's either citizenship. So that's where at the end of the process, you'll get a passport, and you can see that time to citizenship ranges between 2 months and 14 months, depending on where around the world that we go. And then on the right-hand side over here, what you can see is residency programs. So these are programs where you're allowed to stay in these countries, But then if you look down about the fourth or fifth line, there are some requirements that allow you then to become a citizen and get your passport through those countries as well. So that's one of the key differences that you need to understand, the difference between citizenship and residency that can lead to citizenship, and be very clear about what it is that you're looking to achieve. So carrying on the theme of those questions to ask yourself, what currency are you wanting to invest in? Some clients specifically only want to deal with dollars, for example. Some are more comfortable with more other currencies such as pounds and euros, etc. How soon do you need your second citizenship? Is it something you need right now? Do you need it within the next 6 months, or are you happy to wait for a period of time? Why are you looking to get a second citizenship? What's the main reason? Is it ease of travel? Is the ability to move abroad and study freely? And as part of that, more often than not, the top tier question I find is it's to do with your family. So what is it that the children are looking for, and education options, etc. So that brings us on to today's presentation, what we refer to as the Big Five. So this isn't a safari, but we have tied in that theme with the most common programs that we look at for our clients, particularly in the African market where we're very, very active. So in no particular order, but this is the order we will go through them. So the United States of America, the route into the European Union, Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, St. Lucia, and then lastly, Antigua and Barbuda. So that's what we're going to go through now and explain a little bit more about each of these programs. So let's start. Number one, the United States of America. So there's two routes into America that we would recommend. To give them their technical names, it's either an EB3 or an EB5 visa. Now, the simplest way that I can explain this to you is one is an economy route, and one is more of a first class route. What do I mean by that? Well, let's first of all look at the economy route, so EB3. So this is a route that allows you to get working in the United States of America, and through that process, you will get a green card that's very well known. It's the residency card that allows you to stay in America. So this route allows you to do that, and very cost effectively as well. But before we go on to that, there's a number of key points here. So for an EB3, you don't need to have a minimum asset base requirement. You don't need to have an educational background requirement. You don't need work experience. You only need to speak basic English. You need to provide a police clearance, a medical check report, and then be willing to work for whoever the sponsoring employer is. And I'll come on to that in a moment. That's it. So whether it's you, whether it's your spouse or others within the family that are considering this, the requirements to get to America are actually very, very easy to achieve. And a lot of our clients have found the EB3 route to be a very, very efficient way of achieving these goals. How does the process work? Well, if you think that something like this could work for you, we will start the process alongside you. So we will start by applying, collecting all the documents. You'll then have an introduction with a potential employer. We will source those opportunities for you. Okay, they are very much hands-on roles. Okay, but it's 100% guaranteed as a job offer for you. So you can go to America on your green card. You know you've got a job. You know where you're going, and that is the essence of this offer. So it allows you to go there at a cost-effective entry point and start working and earning in dollars and starting to build up your time in America towards citizenship at some point in the future. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So once you've had the employment discussion and they've offered, we then start the immigration process, which takes about 18 months or so. Once that has been approved, and like I say, we have a 100% success ratio on this, you can then relocate to the United States and start your new job, start your new life, and live your dream as an American citizen. Okay. The total processing time for something like this is about 2.5 years. We, however, have a premium processing route that we encourage all of our clients to take for this opportunity, and we can actually get you to the point where you're ready to move within 18 months across to America. Most of the roles, like I say, they are what we would call in the industry blue-collar work. So it's normally working in a production line and helping out in the production of goods in this particular example. So that is the first route, which is the EB3 route, and I'll talk about the minimum amounts for both of these at the end of this section. I'm going to move on now to EB5, which, as I said earlier on, we refer to more as the first class solution. So a bespoke solution for our discerning clients. So the EB5 program, very similar to EB3, that it offers you a green card route into America, but it does through a significant investment into the American economy. This is done through the Regional Center Program, which was updated in 2022. So what is the minimum investment? Well, minimum is $800,000 in areas that are either rural or with high unemployment. The money must be invested in a lawful traceable origin, and each EB5 must be able to demonstrate that it employs 10 full-time new roles, which the projects that we would recommend do. The investor has to have some risk, so it can't be deemed risk-free. And it must be a US new commercial enterprise, which is part of the solution that we put together with our partners. Quite often, this is some form of commercial property opportunity. And obviously, these opportunities come and go. So depending on when you're ready to make the application, we can take you through what an EB5 investment can look like. Very similar to the EB3 process, but it's slightly quicker, and there is no requirement for you to go at a particular time to start a job. You can go there later if you wish. You can carry on working elsewhere, and your family could travel over. So again, this is where the analogy of the first class comes in, that you are more in control of your destiny and your time frame with an EB5, but it does come with a higher price point overall. So when we put them side by side, very simply put, you can see that the EB3 is a slightly longer time frame to secure than the EB5 route. There is a working role that you have to take up for EB3, but no requirement to work if you go through EB5 and effectively self-sponsored. Both allow you to apply for USA citizenship about 5 years in the future. And from an investment returns point of view, if you can call it that, on the EB3, it's a guaranteed role, a job, so you can start to earn in America in dollars, and there will be returns from the project depending on which one you apply for through the EB5 process. Costs associated, this really is the key point that differentiates between the economy route and the first class route. So for about $50,000, you and your family can apply for an EB3 workers visa. Okay, it does depend on the number of family members, so that's a very much ballpark figure. Whereas with EB5, the headline number, like I say, is about $800,000, but we do have projects with financing available where that comes down closer to $500,000. But again, that's really something that needs to be discussed on a one-on-one basis. So just to give you an idea of the ballpark costs. Right, let's move on to number 2 in our big 5 list. So this is what we refer to as the European Union route, and in particular, the Portuguese Golden Visa. So Portugal is part of the European Union. And why do so many people have a strong interest in applying for a European Union passport? Well, because of all of the benefits that you can see here now. You have the ability to live, retire, work, study, or open a business in any of the 27 nations of the European Union once you're a European citizen. You get visa-free travel to 185 different countries around the world as well. So let's talk about Portugal and why it is the most effective route to a European passport, still to this day. You might have misheard or been misinformed that the Portuguese Golden Visa route had closed. This is not the case. We are the #1 distributor of Portuguese Golden Visas for the last few years. Nobody knows it better than we do. And we are still very much open for business, still very much in the market to help you and your family secure this route if that's what you want to do. So the Portuguese Golden Visa has been around since 2012. There's been over 10,000 approved applications, so about two and a bit to 3 people per application. The first citizenships that were granted in 2018 from the clients that applied in 2012 have actually happened. So people now have Portuguese citizenship, therefore EU passports, as a result of going through this program. It's raised over 6 billion euro in foreign direct investment, and it's open to anybody that is not an EU citizen as long as you have no criminal record. And it can include your spouse, your children, and your parents as well. So if you're looking to relocate multi-generations of your family, this potentially is a route as well. The key thing, though, about Portugal and why it's so attractive, it's the only route into Europe where you don't have to move there completely for the entire 5 to 6 year period. The physical residency requirement to secure a European passport works out about 1 week a year over a 5 year period. So you can simply holiday in Portugal for about a week every year for the next 5 years after you have your Portugal Golden Visa, and you can then apply for your EU passport at the end of that process. So once you have your Portuguese Golden Visa, you can live and work in Portugal if you wish. You don't have to. You can freely travel and stay within those 26 Schengen countries that I mentioned. You could establish a business anywhere in Europe, access to the non-habitual tax regime, access to world-class free healthcare, ranked 12th globally. So this is one thing that I know a number of my Nigerian clients are concerned about, is the quality of healthcare in the West African region. And actually, as you retire, as you become older, one of the options is to move to Europe and have access to a first-class free healthcare system in Portugal. It's ranked 16th for education and number 1 for their pension system as well. So a fantastic opportunity to enter Europe through Portugal. Forgive me there. So what is the timeline? So you can see here, the whole thing really is going to take about 15 months to the point where you have the Portuguese Golden Visa in your possession. There have been some changes recently, but within that time frame, we're very, very confident that you will be approved for the plastic card, that means that you have the Golden Visa. Now, how do we do that? Well, there's 5 routes, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. There's a number of different routes to meeting the requirement for an investment for citizenship or residency. And in the case of Portugal, there are 5 routes. There is route number 1, you need to create a business with at least 10 jobs. A minimum of 500,000 euros invested in research activities is number 2. You can donate to the arts, 250,000 euro, or invest into a qualifying venture capital fund. The 5th route, and what is now currently the most popular route, is capital transfer of about 500,000 euros into a Portuguese company which will maintain at least 10 job positions for a minimum period of 3 years. And that's where we come in with our partners, and they are able to provide that criteria in your investment. How do we do it? Well, it's in the hospitality sector. So we've been working in this area for a number of years. So prior to some changes a few years ago, you could purchase residential property to meet this requirement. That went a number of years ago. And then we were able to meet the requirement through investment in commercial property. That has changed and gone as well now. However, the model is fairly similar. So now you're able to invest into a hospitality resort investment. This is not a CGI. This is not something that is speculative. What you're actually seeing here is the actual property that has been built and completed through the previous phases that we have worked with in previous years. So it's tried, it's tested, you can fly there, you can put your hand on the bricks and mortar and actually see what happens over a period of time. So over 124 units were built in that phase, in phase 1, in the Royal Obidos result. And now phase 2 is going to involve the construction of over 32 one-bedroom apartments that meet that 500,000 euro requirement. What you will find is that as an investor in this scheme, you're also going to be paid some of the rental proceeds up front. Okay, so 3.35% return over the 6-year period. So around about 100,000 euros is paid to you up front if you go down this route. So what does that actually mean? It means your net cost to get into an investment like this comes down to about 400,000 euros. However, what I love about this, and again, I come back to the importance of the investment angle, is where is the exit? When you have your European passport, excuse me, how do you then exit? And that's where the buyback guarantee at year 6 comes in. Excuse me. So at year 6, you know that you have a guaranteed exit for 500,000 euros. So you now have your passport, you have 500,000 euros in the bank, you are free to go and invest that money in your dream home, wherever that might be in the European Union, should you wish. If you want, you can keep that property as an investment. It's entirely up to you. And this phase that is being built will be completed in Q4 2025. So we're anticipating a 16 to 18 month build period. One of the other key points is, as you might recall, I said earlier on, you need to stay in Portugal 1 week a year over that 5-year period to be able to apply for your passport. By investing in commercial property that is in the hospitality sector here through this company, we also have included 6 weeks free stay once it's built. So you're able to stay in the property for free. So you just have to fly there, you can holiday there for a week and tick that box to ensure that you can apply for the passport in due course. It's a prime location, only 45 minutes from Lisbon, one of the main airports, and it's one of only 4 5-star hotels in the area. So a really solid investment case. We do have other projects available, but this is just an example of what we offer for those looking for a route into Europe. Okay, so that's America and Europe. Let's now move on to some of the other areas that you may or may not have heard of. So the first one now we're going on to is number 3 is Dubai and their golden visa. Very, very new offering here, but pivotal. So why Dubai? Okay, second safest country in the world. I often talk to colleagues of mine that live and work in Dubai. They'll leave their phone or their wallet on the bar, go back 3 hours later, and it is still there. It's one of the safest countries in the world. 4th best city to live and work, according to HSBC. And one of the big draws for all those expats, it is a tax-free environment. So 0% income tax, 0% capital gains tax, 0% wealth tax, and 0% inheritance tax. So as part of the wealth planning journey, my key raison d'etre is to help plan financial futures for clients. This is where the global mobility offering can come in to help protect you against unnecessary taxation at some point in the future. It's also got access to the best healthcare, education, and infrastructure in the world, and it's one of the most diverse cities globally. 90% of the population are expats and over 200 nationalities, and it's politically very stable and very neutral. They often don't side one way or the other, so very, very neutral location. It's also the first country of inflow for high net worths in the world. It's been called the new Switzerland, and there's high net worthers from all over Europe, Asia, and Africa, all looking to park their money in Dubai. So we should really be looking at this and consider whether this is also an option for you as a plan B, if that's what you're thinking of achieving. So how is Dubai growing? Well, I'm sure you've been there. If you're on this call, you'll have transited through Dubai at some point, I'm sure. But the growth has been phenomenal. You go back to 1973, their GDP was 2.85 billion. Now in 2022, it's $507 billion. The pace of development in Dubai has been unbelievable. From you can see just here from some of the photos over a number of decades. So what is the Dubai Golden Visa? Well, it's a 10-year renewable residency program. As long as you've invested at least 2 million AD into Dubai-based property. The minimum equity must be 274,000 US dollars. However, that I believe has just been refined just before we come online today. So actually, it might even be lower. You might be able to finance even more if you're thinking about this as a route. So talk to us if you're considering it. And it can be off-plan or ready-built property. It's been around since 2019, and there's been over 200,000 Golden Visa applications thus far. And you don't need to spend any time in Dubai whatsoever. It's lovely to be able to go there freely whenever you want to, but you don't have to. And any nationality can apply. There's no restrictions whatsoever. And it can include spouse, children, parents, domestic helpers. So you can move your base of operations to Dubai and start your life, your global mobile life, business interest being in whatever nationality and whatever country that you're in, but center yourself in a hub like Dubai with the right to stay there, like I say, on a 10-year rolling basis. So we talked through a number of these. It really stands out as a great route to consider. What is the investment case? Well, let's say if we look at it from a taxation point of view, there is no tax on any income or capital gain. The population is expected to double by 2040. So the demand for property in Dubai is likely to be strong for many years to come. And these are very solid, world-class developments and projects. The value for money is substantial. The per square meter cost is much lower than other equivalent cities. If you take the likes of London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Paris, etc., New York, you get a lot more for your money in Dubai these days. And it's been rated as the hottest property market globally. It's had the highest growth globally in the last 5 consecutive quarters, and there's no signs of that abating as yet. And the strong regulatory framework around investor protection as well. Rental returns of circa 6 to 9%, depending on whether you want to rent these properties out. And again, we can talk you through all of those. The currency as well is pegged to the US dollar. This is a key one for my West African clients. I know a lot of the discussions we have is in US dollars, and therefore you know that you're not suddenly moving to a currency that might be moving in a different direction away from the dollar. Payment plans are available between 2 to 5 years with no interest. And again, once you're ready to start having this conversation, please talk to us and we can take you through all of the different routes that are available. And we can also do the transactions in both cash and cryptocurrency if that is something that you're looking to achieve as well. Please just have a conversation with us. What are the types of property? Well, we've got a huge swathe of opportunities. You name it, we can find it for you. Our team that are based in Dubai will source it for you. If it's beachfront city, in the center, villas, ready built, or you want something that's just a really good yielding opportunity or a really good capital appreciation opportunity. If you're an experienced property developer, why not diversify? You can have the property developments in Lagos or Abuja, but you could also start to build your property portfolio in somewhere like Dubai with the ability to fly easily backwards and forwards for the next 10 years and stay there as long as you want as well. Okay, so that's Dubai. Moving on swiftly to number 4, let's start to talk about the Caribbean and in particular the front runner, St. Lucia. So why St. Lucia? Well, St. Lucia, if you secure this passport, gives you visa-free travel to 140 countries around the world, including the United Kingdom, Schengen, so the European Union area, Hong Kong, Singapore, etc. So if you're just looking to start traveling very, very quickly, this is one of the routes that you might want to consider. It's a great plan B against political and economic uncertainty. If you have the need to travel, you can do. And you also have the benefit of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and CARICOM, basically the collective of Caribbean nations. It's an ideal retirement destination, low tax, great healthcare and education, etc. So why do clients look to do St. Lucia? Well, a little bit about it. It's been established since 2015, so it's been in law for a number of years. It's ranked as the 32nd best passport. But the main reason I think clients look to do St. Lucia is because, well, firstly, it's one of our most cost-effective solutions, but it's a super quick solution. Fast track processing. We can get your passport to you, I would say, within 6 months. 3 to 4 months is possible in certain circumstances, but within 6 months, I'll be flying out to see you to give you your new passport, and you are then a citizen of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. You can also include dependent children under the age of 30 and parents over the age of 55 who are currently residing with you and your family. It's irrevocable. So you are investing in this for you, your family, your children, your children's children, and the other generations to come. They will become citizens of that nation forevermore. And the freedom that comes with that, particularly when you look at its strong connections to the likes of the United Kingdom, you're able to travel to the UK and spend up to 6 months of the year there as well. And you don't have to travel to St. Lucia at all during the application. These days, we can do it all remotely. And like I say, within the next 6 months, I'll be flying out to see you to drop off the new passports. And that's something that we're very pleased to say how quickly that can be turned around. So why do St. Lucia, out of all the Caribbean islands, as one of the front runners? Well, it's economically and legally and socially very, very stable. It's a democracy based on the British parliamentary system. It gives you the ability to retire, remote work around all of the Caribbean islands without any issues at all. But it's also a very well-connected jurisdiction. Okay, there's a lot of flights coming in from America and Europe because of its popularity as a tourist destination. And also, again, on the wealth planning side of things, at that point in the future when you move there, if that's what you want to do, you don't have to. Okay, there's no capital gains tax, no stamp duty, no capital acquisitions tax, no inheritance tax or wealth tax or net worth tax, and no tax on your worldwide income. So it's a great option to consider if you want a plan B, particularly for, like I say, my West African clients. I'm often talking about St. Lucia, about how that fits nicely. You don't have to disturb your life and you can quietly become a citizen in another country. And it's there should you need it at some point in the future at a very effective price point. What is the time frame? Well, here we go. So like I say, within 6 months, we'll be dropping your passport off to you. The first month really is around documentation. So getting all of that put together, applications, all the rest of it, getting that set out to the lawyers. And then at the 2-month point and it's submitted, it goes to the government. So we are very, very certain that the point we get to the end of month 1, when we submit your documentation, you will be approved. We have a 100% success ratio in that regard. The only way that this wouldn't work is if something came up on the pre-screening phase around the criminality checks and what have you. So once you're past that stage, it's highly unlikely you would ever be rejected for that. It would actually be a first for us if that were to happen. Takes a few months for the St. Lucian government to do their bit, and then once that's achieved, then like I say, you have your passport. One thing I would say about this and both the Caribbean options is it is a very popular route. It's a very overly promoted route, particularly in the Western African area. I'd encourage you to talk to us and let us quote alongside anything you've seen from any other competitors around what it is that they're offering, particularly if there's a property investment involvement. Just get us to have a quick look and we can give you a second set of eyes on the viability from an investment case perspective. And lastly, on our Big 5 tour around the world and citizenship and residency by investment is Antigua and Barbuda. Okay, so why? Well, very similar in its opportunity as St. Lucia. It's an older scheme. It's been going for longer. Visa-free travel to 152 countries, ranked 28th best passport in the world. Again, fast tracking is available for this kind of solution. And there are no requirements to travel to Antigua either if you want to do this remotely. Fantastic location as a country to be a citizen of in the future. There's nothing that's going to give you more pleasure than retiring to a view like this in years to come in a very, very safe and stable country in the Caribbean. Similar to St. Lucia, no capital gains tax or stamp duty, acquisitions tax or inheritance tax, and no tax on worldwide income either. So very, very similar. And the only real difference between St. Lucia and Antigua really boils down to the costs of the programs and a few other little technical nuances. Part of what we will do, though, timeframe wise, is get that passport to you again, like I say, within 6 months. So, my message to you is that if a new passport is a must within a short period of time and you want it cost effectively, Caribbean is a great route to consider. If you are prepared to wait for a number of years and have a residency first, then you get access to the tier 1 passports, the likes of America or Europe, but that involves some patience over a number of years. And for those that are looking for a property-based investment with freedom of movement through one of the best global hubs in the world, then Dubai is a standout for that as well. So whichever route you choose to go down, we can partner with you and help find the best solution for you and your family. And like I say, I've only picked the big five. There's plenty of other opportunities as well elsewhere around the world. So we're going to move now on to the Q&A. So if you haven't already done so, please feel free to send me a question. So if you're on Zoom, down at the bottom of the screen in the center, you'll see a little icon that says questions and answers. Feel free to type in a question and I'll do my best to answer it now. Alternatively, we can reach out to you after this and talk you through it on a case-by-case basis. Okay. All right, so we've got a question coming in here via WhatsApp. Okay, so I've got a question here from Blessing asking about America and the role. Okay, yeah. So the question here is just asking about the process for EB3. So one of the most popular routes, the most cost-effective route out of everything that we've talked about today. And Blessing's question really is aimed about what's involved in getting his family to America. So to reiterate it, Blessing, for $50,000, okay, we will handle the application paperwork, putting everything together for a guaranteed job in America. And in about 18 months or so from now, you will move to America and you will take up that job and you can start working there. In Pennsylvania is the company we're working with at the moment, and you and your family can travel there and start working. So it's a very, very cost-effective route for those considering going to America. I hope that answers your question, Blessing. Okay, great. All right, another question here with EB3. With EB3, do I need to keep the job? Look, obviously, we can't comment on what you're going to do from an employment perspective, but at the end of the day, our expectations are that people go and take this role with a view to working it long term. If, however, things don't work out with that employer, or if you want to look at other alternatives once you're there, then you're free to do that. Once you've got the green card, you're able to do so without any issue at all. So yeah, it's a route to freedom. At a very cost-effective price point. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. So Daniel's just asking, would you be kind enough to send the recording? Absolutely. This will be on YouTube. We're going to do some reels on it as well. Feel free to forward it on to your friends that are thinking about this. But the key thing really is that if you want to talk to us, don't hesitate to drop us a WhatsApp, and my team and I can start chatting to you today about how we can help you. Okay, let me just answer this. Next one, if we go this route, do we have to pay anything and pay at a later stage, or once it's done, we are set for life? I'm assuming this question is about America again. It really is one of the most popular programs. So yeah, EB3, yeah, once you're in America, okay, you've got a green card for 5 years. Okay, so you as long as you're there, there's no other things to pay. You can stay there, work, and once you've met the physical stay requirements, you can apply to become a citizen of America, and then you're an American citizen. Okay, one thing I would say for my high net worth clients on the planning side, don't forget that comes with having to deal with the IRS for the rest of your life. They are one of the more aggressive tax authorities globally. So just have that conversation with me first before you rush to America. There are things that you might need to consider. But yes, in the EB3 route, for those looking to start a new life in America rather than the territory you're in at the moment, absolutely, you'll be set for life. That's why we call it the American dream. Okay. Another question in relation to EB3. So with regards to American EB3, what jobs are offered and how do you find the employer? Who are the employers? Okay, so as you can imagine, there is always a demand in America for people to work in these kind of blue collar roles. We've seen that in other countries around the world, right? There's serious inflation in other countries outside of Africa, as an example. So they're crying out for people, and that's part of this process, is trying to find the right people to work and invest in America, and in return they're offering roles through some of these employers that are there. So it's always changing. Okay, you're able to to go there, and get started really on your new life. But we can't, we can't really predict what other employers will be involved. So when you're ready to have the discussion with us, let's talk through which employers are available at that time. If we do that, we can talk you through it. But it's more than likely going to be some kind of hands-on role, a physical role, and like I say, production line as a good example. But we'll take you all through that at the point you're ready to make that decision. Can my family join me later in America? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your family can go with you at that time. I have some clients that are, wanting to stay in Nigeria as an example, and their wife is actually going to America to take on, is the main applicant, take on this role, and the kids are going there to start their new lives. And actually, then the spouse is remaining in Nigeria because of business commitments. So it's a very flexible program in that regards. I hope that answers your question as well. What is the fastest route to a second passport? Okay, so America is great and Europe is great, but you don't get the passport in your hand for a number of years. You have to be patient. You have to wait. Okay, the fastest route to secure a passport is to do so via the Caribbean. So that's why I put St. Lucia and Antigua here side by side. In those situations, we will be able to get your passport for within 6 months. Okay, so that really is the quickest route that I can comfortably say that as a wealth manager, it makes financial sense, it makes cost sense, on the numbers side, but also the time is very, very, very rapid as well. So 6 months, and you will become a citizen of another country. Okay, what happens if we have a child through surrogacy? Would they be eligible for a second passport, or will we have to reapply and pay again as a new application? That is an interesting question. I've not had that one before. So leave that one with me. I'll have to come back to you and check with our technical team. Really, we'll be able to answer that at the point that we take this to the immigration lawyers. And I assume that we're talking about America rather than Europe. But please, that been quite a specific question, and we would need to check with our technical team and come back with. So please do reach out to us so that we can have a one-on-one discussion, and thank you for asking that. Okay. Any other questions? If there's any other questions, please do ask them now. If not, we're going to be looking to wrap things up very, very soon. Okay, I think we're about done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you all for taking your time, coming to watch today and learn about the Big Five of CBI. The closing message from me is that if this is something you're seriously thinking about, the Holborn team are the most experienced and effective at this globally. We look at this from an investment case perspective. First and foremost, we are not here to just sell you a passport. We are here to look at your holistic overview and whether global mobility and a new passport or residency fits into that. So please do reach out to us. Let us see, where you are in the world. Let's work with you and come up with a bespoke solution for you and your family. And I look forward to working with you in due course. Take care, have a great day, and thanks for coming.